Hello, everyone. Welcome to the December 10th, 2025 Disability Advisory Board meeting. Welcome. We'll just do roll call. Lisa Huchler here.
Abby Yeatts here.
Larissa Gambale here.
Jody Smith here.
John Lewis here.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
Okay.
Kirsten's also here on Zoom.
Okay, and then with that, we don't have Michelle here today, so I just want to, for the record, that Jody has voting capability tonight. As the alternate, you will be a full voting member. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the October 8th, 2025 meeting minutes?
I move to approve the meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. I just wanted to give the board member update. So we have Michelle Williams has been on the board for a few years, but she is moving out of the township. So she did send in her resignation, and at the last Board of Supervisors meeting, it was accepted by the Board of Supervisors. So we will miss her. She's been a valuable member of our committee. She's had lots of experience, especially with the Center for Independent Living contacts, and she just has she had a lot of knowledge and background and experience. So she will be missed, but we wish her good luck. So I will also make a note here. Jody, you are an alternate. So if you would like to become a full member, you can let us know. And then it would have to go to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Okay.
So-
How do I let you know? Just by saying it now, or do I write something or?
You can send an email to admin@lmt.org and just say, hey, I'm up for being a full member.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So if you send it to admin@lmt.org, that will be received by the township manager. And Katie will get that, his assistant will get that on the Board of Supervisors agenda.
Okay.
And then at that time, whatever you decide, you could stay an alternate or you can
Yeah,
become a
okay.
member. Yeah.
Okay.
That we will advertise then for whatever the need is, an alternate.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The other thing I want to mention is the email for the Disability Advisory Board is dab@lmt.org. We used to have, they had a different email system, so I would have to go online and kind of check it myself. It was the Okta system, and they've gone to a new email. So all emails will still have our dab@lmt.org, but they will go to this admin email. So none of us have to check it, which I think is actually better. So once they receive the email there, then they will forward it to me. So I think that's a much better way. If we needed, or if any of the committees do need an email separate, it would cost the township extra money to do that. But I don't see any reason. We don't really get anything other than spam. We get a few things from Claire Deal at Center for Independent Living, but that's about it. But anyway, so that works out perfect. So I no longer have to check it. And, if I don't have time to check it, it's not getting lost. So, and then we don't have to change our brochures either, Kirsten. So we get to keep the DAB. It just all gets forwarded to the admin.
Nice.
Yeah. I put this on the Pennsbury School renovation project because I did see that they had a big article in the Bucks County Courier. So I just wanted to bring attention again, if anybody's interested in that and you have, a child that might be attending the high school and you're interested, make sure to follow it. You can look in the Bucks County Courier Times, and obviously you can go to their website and follow along. And if there's any meetings or input that you would like to do, you would contact the school directly. Next, we have the Bucks County Center for Independent Living. At our last meeting, they had lost their funding. Now, the Pennsylvania state budget was passed, and on November 12th, and out on the SIL website, they wanted to thank everyone for their support and advocacy during that time. And they were happy to report that they resumed full services on December 1st of this year. So they're happy to be back and serving, people with disabilities and the children in our community. I guess the next events they have is there's the waivers, an introduction to the waiver system information session. It's on January 14th from 6 to 7:30 in Ben Salem. So you can just go out to their website and find out some information for the waiver system for autism services and intellectual disability services. Okay. All right. Next, we had our event. The big event we had during the 2 months that we were off was the holiday party. It was held on December 5th at the community center. It was put on by the Parks and Rec Department, and Rob Vandegrift was in charge of it. I attended, and we were participating because we wanted to have a quiet room because it gets very loud in there. The large room, the large craft room could be overstimulation for, some children. But I think we also found out that all children sometimes just need a little less stimulation. So I was pleasantly surprised. Even at the end, we had about 9 girls come in and we just watched the movie. And, we told them it was a quiet room and they were very quiet. And they just watched the movie and they would have stayed there all night, I think. There were several small children that I think, again, it was overwhelming in the craft room that was for everyone. And so some of the parents brought in their small children and did some of the crafts at our table. And again, it was just a nice, quiet space. And I thought it worked out well. Abby was there. Abby, you want to share some of your thoughts on that?
I think it was great. We had people coming in and out, and it seemed like it was well received, and that people were, glad that we had something. So, yeah. Did we?
Hold on, we're gonna try to get Kirsten back.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
she's
I
back.
just had to blow my nose.
Okay.
We thought we lost
We thought we lost you.
My son was there, and he had a good time. And we have gone to parties in the past where the main room is too loud and overstimulating. The lights are very bright, the music's loud. So he actually really enjoyed his time there. So
And I thought it was great. Abby's son, Benjamin, he had Santa come in as a personal, so he didn't have to go out and visit with Santa. Santa
wait
actually
in line.
wait in line. Santa came into our room and was able to interact one-on-one wherever the child was,
Yes.
right? That child didn't have to wait in the line or sit on Santa's lap, obviously, if they're in a wheelchair or just couldn't get up to get on Santa's lap. So I think that was extra special too, that they made an effort to include the kids by inviting Santa into the room. Larissa was also there. Larissa, do you have any comments?
Well, Rob came over to me and thanked us for being there. He was very grateful. He also asked for any feedback that you and I might have or you might have. So he said to email him any suggestions. So I plan to do some suggestions for next time.
Okay. Yeah, I thought one thing we could do is probably a sign that says quiet room.
Be
Right,
able to shut the door.
right,
And we can shut the door, then people would know we were inside.
right,
Yeah.
But-
There was still a good bit of noise with the
Mhm.
door being open,
Yeah.
especially.
Right. Right.
Because the hallway that we were in, people would enter and exit and pass right through past the room. So kids were, excited, and they would be running down the hall, and it did get loud at some point.
right. And parents didn't know what was happening
Exactly.
either. So maybe one of the things we can do is use our tablecloth, put a table in front and put our tablecloth out there so people know that it's us being in there.
Mhm.
So that's one of the suggestions. And the other thing was that that craft room gets so busy that I'm going to suggest to Rob that he have some kind of activity going on in the main room so that there's a division, because people go in the main room, nothing's happening there, and then they go to the craft room, and then it gets very, very busy.
Maybe start the activities in the main room early. They kind of waited
Right,
to work this.
right.
So like almost having stations set up rather than
correct.
everything all at one time.
Correct.
Because I thought about that, if they could maybe spread it out a little bit,
Right.
different areas of the room. Yeah. Okay.
But he was very happy to have us
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And I think it was a very nice event. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so that's something that we can plan on doing next year too. So if everybody,
Just out of curiosity, do we think we'll do this at the Halloween party as well?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think
I don't know if they do anything besides Halloween and
I
Christmas.
think it's just those two.
they do the Easter egg hunt.
Right,
So I think, yeah, they don't do an actual party.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's at the parks.
Yeah.
so.
right. Okay.
Okay. So we can just suggest that we attend the Halloween and the holiday party. Okay. Okay. Parks and Rec projects. I'm going to have that twice on here somewhere, but the big thing we were working on was the ADA transition plan update. So that was done. It was sent to us on October 21st for our review. So I reviewed it and sent in all the comments, and it is now it went to Parks and Rec Board last night, and I didn't get a chance to view the Parks and Rec Board online. So I don't know if they recommended it. So I did send my final comments on November 6th. She forwarded that to Parks and Rec this week. I was copied on that email. So she did send the updated one to Parks and Rec. And I sent it to everyone here on the board for their review. So does anyone have any questions or comments or anything to say about the ADA transition plan update that was done in 2021 and updated this year?
I would like to know, what are we expected to do with it? I know you made recommendations. Is there anything that we're supposed to be actually working on with them? Or like, I'm not sure how it works.
There's like a yearly breakdown in the transition plan that shows like different steps of what we're going to be involved in.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So no, this was a huge project as far as we helped out in the initial phase, the 2021 phase with going out to parks and everything. So this was just an update if there was anything that we saw, and we kind of been working on it all year. So
That's like collaboration with us. Just to make sure that like, I think one of them was like to review any new plans for parks, like when they redo equipment and stuff, that we would be like reviewing that with them.
Okay.
Those kind of
yeah,
things.
you don't,
That
yeah,
was
you don't,
listed in.
we didn't need to do anything other than review the plan, make sure it's still
Okay.
any updates that they made to it. They added a lot. I guess the biggest change to this plan is adding more about programming. So that's kind of, we did all the physical, we went out to the parks to look if we need handicap spots, if we needed striping and all that. But we weren't really sure 5 years ago where we were going with the programming. Obviously, the Parks and Rec, the community center was built, and the summer programs have now expanded, from 5 years ago. So I think we just put more of that into this update.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I reviewed it since, I would think I was the only one.
So it's nothing that we have to actually physically do with them. Okay. All right.
So, go ahead.
I noticed that a couple of the items didn't have a number next to them. At least like 4 or 5 weren't categorized.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure about that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
a thing to note.
Okay. I'll note that, but it's not going to really make.
No, I
Yeah.
just noted that was something, and then.
And those numbers are like priority.
Priorities.
So
Right,
number
right,
one
right.
would
So
be
there
just for.
there were
yeah.
a few items that didn't have a
Have
priority
any,
at
yeah.
all listed.
Yeah.
But I guess I noted that there were some things that said like the bathrooms couldn't be assessed because of COVID, but I didn't see like an update to that either.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'll have to look at that. Okay.
I might have missed it.
Yeah.
And I went through it, but there's a lot of pages. So one of the things that popped in my head was that the pool bathrooms are long overdue for restoration. And I'm assuming there are items in there to make sure that they're accessible bathrooms with accessible changing tables, all that sort of stuff.
There was no mention of changing tables.
Okay. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I was watching too. Because we had talked about it at Memorial Park, since that's the.
That was the first place. Yeah. So double check on that because I think the items in the pool that are projects that may be discussed soonest. Now, again, as I tell people, I'm one of five and the prioritization changes based on our financial circumstances, but I would think the pool and potentially slides may come into discussion because they are overdue for restoration as well. Those are the two pool-related ones that I can think of. I think on the parks stuff, I think Kids Kingdom is probably a little further away from a timeline. So for you to start planning for review and advocacy around that.
I did notice that there was an update that I have brought up that the accessible swing isn't accessible, and there was something in there that
Yeah.
said to, like, a path to make it accessible. So
Yeah.
that was really cool.
I think the one area, because I did print it out and look at it, and I noticed the non-numbers about some, because I was curious as to,
Right.
and I was pleased to see that the idea is a lot of the facilities that exist, that that as they are being routinely made and or renovated, that then the ADA portion comes into it. But the one thing that hasn't been brought up is mentions on training, and I wondered, I can't remember how that was prioritized, but I think that itself too, and it made me think of, I think it was you, Lisa, that brought up, the new shops and stuff near the Wegmans and how some of those weren't done correctly in terms of ADA. And I'm thinking, that's interesting because is that a training issue? Like who would supervise and make sure? I mean, it's not us, but I don't know where that stands, like making people aware.
Right. For the physical part, as far as building and
Mhm.
things, you have architects and you have our
Yeah.
township community development director. They are all trained now in ADA. And
Okay.
pretty much, if you're an architect, you have to be aware of all ADA. So I think when we started 20 years ago, we didn't
got
have
it.
that, right?
Right.
But that's why a lot of other townships don't feel that they need a disability advisory board because they're like, oh, our township employees are up on all the ADA stuff. But we know, you take a course, you view a Zoom meeting and you
Yeah.
think you're ADA compliant, with knowing all the rules. So sometimes they just fold that into other like zoning or
Yeah.
other commissions. But
I did notice that there was a lot of mention of universal design and then the principles of universal design
Mhm.
in the transition plan. So that's
universal
another big,
design is
it's like a portion of ADA, but
Yeah.
it's more
Well,
encompassing.
I was just so startled when you brought up the thing. There's new construction.
Mhm.
The Wegman itself is so laid out well, I think, how that slips through the cracks. I mean, maybe, that this.
Right. And I think
Well,
you're
those are,
talking about
those
some
are
of the
two separate issues.
Parties, right, okay.
So land development is one process, but when we talk about facilities that are owned or operated by the township, that's where the difference is. And I'd like to think that the stuff that we're doing that's township owned and operated is getting to universal design, getting to
Right.
high levels of accessibility. But when it comes to building plan review, there's stuff that comes on I think we're skipping ahead, so I don't want to take Lisa's
Okay.
agenda. But you have circumstances where you see blueprints, and then things get developed and things change between blueprint and construction and process, and including into, build out because different companies come in and they'll have different requirements for signage. So we've just had a few openings. Paris Baguette, I don't know,
Right.
lovely ribbon cutting for that. Chipotle is now open. So those are all, but there's still construction in that area.
Mhm.
And that's where the follow-up is in the audit side of that. And part of the reason why the board exists is because you have to see it, to experience it. And you can't, even if you're well-trained, you're not always going to see it the same way.
Right, right. Okay, thanks. That clarifies.
All right, so I did want to approve the ADA transition plan so that it can be brought to the Board of Supervisors for approval. Could we approve it and just with a couple, say that we want to just review the COVID, or does it have to be perfect, John? What, can we approve it? We're just,
You could say, you could have a motion that approves it subject to completion of a last grammatical check and prioritization of a few things. And a
okay.
double check on
Yeah,
the.
because it's not my, it's my.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I found a few
Was the
things.
bathrooms in Memorial were locked during COVID and they couldn't
Mhm.
be assessed at the time.
Well, was that in the chart?
I think it was.
Is on the back in the chart. So that still would be valid because when they.
Right, but I'm
yeah,
saying was
nobody went
the,
back out
yeah,
to
that's what I'm.
view it. So,
Right, it was in the sections where you have names attached and it
Yes,
was saying,
yeah.
I couldn't, whoever it
Right,
was, it
so-
wasn't you. I
Right,
couldn't
right, right.
observe
no,
because.
it was me.
I mean,
Oh, wait a minute.
yeah.
Oh, wait, okay. I know your name was there. You did a lot of work.
Yeah.
I was like,
No, I
wow.
just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that that was,
Right.
that make sure there's no like glaring craziness
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
No.
But that's slated, yeah, anything to do with the bathroom. So we might not need to change that specific
Correct.
wording because at the time
That,
we
yeah.
couldn't do it.
I can,
But the bathrooms are still listed on the prior,
Yes.
like,
yeah.
in the other sections. So I think that's okay. So the only real change I'm thinking is maybe adding changing tables to the pool. But their pool bathroom isn't, I'll have to look at that section again, what it says, because if we say it just must be ADA compliant, when we get those plans to review, we're going to say, where's the changing tables at this
Yeah,
point?
and so a changing table isn't in the ADA.
Yeah.
You don't need. to
Oh,
have-
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Right, so that'll be something we'll just add.
So I mean, like that's just like a thought, like we were at the holiday party and I had to change my kid on the floor of the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
And the reason why it's so important at the pool is our demographic for pool visitors are basically 1 to 14. Those are our primary customers, although we're doing well with older folks.
yeah,
I hesitate to use that word because I'm now.
I know, I'm over that.
Right, yeah. But a lot of the growth is because we don't have enough young kids, we're aging. And so that's one of the challenges of the pool is we can make it more attractive, get a higher penetration of families with children. You know, that's something we want to work on it. You know, whatever we can do to make that happen.
Okay. All right, so then I think we need to make a motion to approve the ADA transition plan update or the updated ADA transition plan. And we want to recommend that be brought to the Board of Supervisors for their approval. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. So do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor to recommend the ADA, updated ADA transition plan to the Board of Supervisors? Say aye. Aye. Okay. And I will let Monica know that and then if Parks and Rec also recommended it last night, then they can go ahead and add it to the Board of Supervisors agenda. Okay, the update on other Parks and Rec projects, an update on the PECO Green Open Space Grant. This is to preserve, protect, and improve open space in the region. And that was for the accessible pathway. So we did receive additional money. And Monica had said at our last meeting that they were waiting, they had a potential donor. So the update is they have received a donor or donation for a lot of the material. So they have received that. And so what they're going to do is launch another volunteer party in the spring when the weather breaks and get the additional extension of the boardwalk. So that's good news. So I just wanted to give an update on that.
I did the boardwalk for the first time. It was awesome.
So, and Jody, you walk with assistant.
Yes, I
we're
have
able to-
a spiffy new rollator that I would use in those circumstances, and it was really nice.
And it was
Really
you were able
enjoyable.
to-
And if it was, yes, it worked very well, enough resting places. And I thought I would enjoy this even if it was
a
longer.
little bit longer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Great. And actually, somebody was just asking me about that. Like, I think I was in here, and we're just like, does anybody use it because it's so short? And I'm like, no, I mean, some people can't walk that far.
Well, it's
So
not bad all the time, you know? And you can
right.
do a
By the time
couple,
you walk down
you
and
can
back.
do it a couple of times too, you
Yeah.
know? But long as you go farther, you want to see what
Yeah.
what's beyond.
Yeah.
And I had one of my grandchildren and my husband who was not disabled, and they, ran up ahead and then came back and reported. It was very nice for
Yeah.
us to do that together. And I wouldn't have been able to do something like that.
Right. No, that's great. Fantastic. I love when somebody uses, things that we feel are really important and
Mhm.
getting use out of it and enjoyment. So perfect. And then I have holiday party again. I meant to take that out. So, all right. So continuing with Parks and Rec, for the future. And one of the things we talked about at the last meeting was sensory events, So we wanted to discuss this with Parks and Rec, and we were able to, Abby and I attended a meeting just with Monica and Robert. We were discussing the holiday party, so we got into talking to a lot of different things that they could potentially do and how we could help them out, for future events that could be more inclusive for, children of all abilities. And she said that Rob is the one that's responsible for most of the small events held in the camp program. So he would be responsible for a lot of these probably things that we would be interested in. So, we've already talked about the holiday party, so that went really well. And so we'll continue to do that. Then we started to discuss the 5K Anyway run. And I think what they're looking for next year is for our assistance in the fundraising aspect of it. Rob wants to get more businesses involved that, maybe has a connection to the disability community. And I guess, Abby, you had suggested like your dentist, right? So if we start thinking about who would benefit by advertising to children with disabilities in our community or people with disabilities in our community. So, maybe you have a dentist that we could recommend and maybe they would want to advertise, there. Kirsten, you had mentioned law firms. Like when I mentioned that to Rob, he was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But law firms, some of them specifically handle disability cases, right? So you
That
were
is
the
where
one,
I
think.
work. Actually, I will be ending my work at the firm at the end of this year, but I would feel in a better place to ask for such a donation when I am not an employee there, but I will definitely ask because they do serve this area, the firm where I work, and all they do is disability law.
Right. So they could sponsor something, and they get advertisement for it, whether it's being on a T-shirt we talked about or, little handout things, food, so they could participate in various ways. But like, just to be talking all together, we're like, oh yeah, a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, like, they've got some money to maybe help us out with some of the fundraising. And then we started talking more about, the 5K fun run, anyway, run is becoming more of a running event. It's not really, we don't advertise that it's for, people with disabilities or anything. People are showing up and they've got their chips and they're running as fast as they can because they want to get timed, right? So it's like an official running event. And everyone on this board, no one on this board was here when we used to do the roll and stroll. So we stopped doing that before COVID. And the roll and stroll was really specific to everyone with disabilities. And we used to have it up at Memorial Park because of the the inclusive playground, right? So now you've got a connection. You've got the playground that's, for handicap or anyone, children with disabilities. And then we would have vendors that would show up. We had autism cares, we had a mental health business, we had St. Mary's, we had veterans, we had Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, we had the Bucks County Library because they were doing some events for, I think, during the day. YMS Special Stars, we had the soccer come and do, they did their practice there. So other children could see that they were practicing, out on the fields up there. And of course, you had your politicians show up, right? I think John had showed up a couple times, right? And Perry Warren was always showing up. I don't know if Steve Sanasier, he might have sent, one of his members. So it was a totally different event than the 5K. So I think we gave up the roll and stroll because we started the 5K anyway. But I think it's kind of not doing what I thought it was going to do. And so we thought, well, okay, well, how can we get the two together and maybe but I said, the vendors aren't going to come to that type of event. It's just too, So, Rob was saying maybe we could do something in the spring because it's a quieter time for events. And maybe we could, do a separate event, another roll and stroll type of event in the springtime, back up at Memorial Park, have some vendors. So I think what we'll do is I don't think we're going to be able to do it for this year. So I think maybe we need to revisit that. And we're still going to do the 5K anyway. They're going to schedule that, but that's in the fall. But with the September 11th, 25-year anniversary, I know there's going to be a lot of events going on up there and for this fall. So I think maybe we look at doing something next spring of 2027, and maybe bringing it back. But it was a very nice event. So I think
it sounds really nice, and it sounds like a lot of work. So that just getting it all organized, worthy. But I think the time frame that you're suggesting seems reasonable on that level too.
But I think, does anyone have a comment on that? Do you think we should separate it out, or is there a way we could bring it together? But I just can't figure a way to bring it together to do both.
Can one go before the other? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Kirsten, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest maybe we should put a calendar reminder in for ourselves, like that come June, maybe we revisit it. Because it seems to me that if we were planning this for the next spring, that we would need to at least formalize a plan by then as to like who's contacting potential vendors, whatever the tasks are. It just seemed to me that like planning it now for spring of 27 feels like a ways and a distance, but by the time we get to next year, we will have to put it on the calendar for one of the months to devote a meeting to it.
Okay, so let's say next summer we should start the planning process for that event. Okay.
Something feels better to have it be a whole separate thing because I myself, just even if I wasn't involved with this, I would go like, I don't know, for my disability, I would be interested at this point in really participating or being part of it or talking. It just seems, if part of it is, as I was talking about, the training or the awareness, if you have your own separate thing, it's just more aware and you can really promote it and,
right.
It's powerful, more powerful.
You get more exposure with the other.
Yeah. So Larissa, in reference to your comment about could we do like start one and then have somebody else come in? Well, I needed to leave the 5K a little bit early. And then I realized no cars, no in and out traffic during that hour and a half.
Oh.
So vendors couldn't come in until after the event is totally done and everyone's cleared out with the running. So it would be a long day, from the 7 o'clock in the morning till then you had to wait till all those people clear out and then bring it in. So it would end up being two separate events, but there's once the walk, because Memorial, at Macclesfield, I couldn't remember where it was, Macclesfield, we're walking around that loop. So no traffic can,
Okay.
you're stuck. Once you're in there until it's all done, or
Okay.
you stay out once it starts. Yeah.
Well, maybe we could tag it with Easter then somehow, because they do the Easter egg hunt, which is great for some kids, but not for all kids. So maybe we can attach some kind of thing to an Easter event.
Yeah, we can look at when Easter is because sometimes it's too early and it'd
It's
still be
like-
cold.
It's the beginning of April.
Well, 2027. Yeah. Well, yeah. So, okay. All right. So we'll revisit that for sure. And then the other thing we started talking about then was the summer programs. They really have not had any requests for children with disabilities since the staff is not qualified, right? They can't advertise like, we have staff that would be able to work one-on-one with you. But even teachers with experience, it just might not work. So I think what we're thinking is if we can partner with other communities and provide other resources that might be helpful for parents looking into summer programs, because they do exist. And so maybe, I think, Abby, you said like the NAC has summer programs for children with disabilities. So no, they don't no longer.
They have like a staff person, but it's not, I mean, like my daughter got kicked out because she didn't want to get out of the pool. So, I mean, yes and no, I don't know, because then like my son did the half-day program one year and it was like not inclusive at all.
Okay.
So
What was the program? There is something new, I think, that there were some programs over there, but there is something that you saw, a new facility that's
Yes.
being built in Bucks County.
yes.
So if you just want to give an update on that.
Yeah, I passed their building and there's a sign for an all accessible water park called Playa Raya. It's an all abilities water park, and if you get on their website, it's like a plan for several years out where they want to have sports facilities, this water park, pools, a horse therapy area.
Playgrounds,
yes.
trails.
Yes,
like, yeah,
yes, yes, a lot of very cool things.
Right.
What
So-
municipality is that?
I think it's Middletown. It's going, I think it's the old,
not, yeah, I
no,
don't
it's
know.
the old pool. It's more towards Trevose. Like
Mhm.
if you go towards St. Mary's, that back way,
Mhm.
crossover with like Bridgetown Pike, it veers to the left. Like I know LMT swimmers, I've been to like a swim meet. It was like an old pool that closed up.
Mhm.
Can't remember what road that's on.
Yeah.
But it's not far. I mean, it
Right.
would probably only take 20 minutes. But whatever Trevose, I feel like it's out towards heading
Okay.
out that way.
The one thing on summer programs, I know there's all of the Bucks County Parks and Rec people meet together.
Mhm.
And so Monica probably could talk to some of her fellow folks.
Yep.
Especially because, there are other municipalities that have programs. I'm proud to say my son is a graduate of the Middletown Skate Park program. They said he was gifted as a skater.
It's in Langhorne.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
it's Middleton, yeah.
So, but different, some people come here for things, some
Yes.
people go there. So, there's certainly, if there could be a joint program that
Right.
might help, or if it's located near.
So that's what Monica was going to bring it up. She was going to be having a meeting with all the Parks and Rec, and she was going to bring up this, Playa Raya, but also, see how they could work that into, maybe we offer it saying, well, we have this program that we're sharing and you're going to go, this is where you can go
Right.
full, because I'm going to assume they will have training. If their entire park is accessible and, it's designed that way, they're going to have a lot of help. So, our problem is we have a lot of young counselors here and they're just not trained to treat, to help one-on-one with many, we don't have that capability here. So I think they're going to pull resources and that would be great. So
When young people get trained to be, let's say, lifeguards or something, what organization like.
I think
is
we
it
do
the
our own
red-
training, just,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's part of the,
So I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be the Red Cross, but there, I know working in a school, we were always recertified for
right.
administering, and we would pay a little fee, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
I think if there's a need,
Yeah.
we could do, some training, but for the most part, I don't know how we'd advertise and try to find someone, even with, when we're talking about the next issue, we have the pool. Remember, we were talking about the swim lessons for people with disability? But, there was a donor that was going to sponsor the costs. And the one issue came up about training employees. And since there's so much turnover, right, every year you're going to have a different counselor. So you might train an employee and spend the money to train, and for that one season, and maybe you don't even have someone with a disability coming to your program, and now all those counselors leave, and now you got to retrain the next. So I think we have to really individualize it,
Yeah.
as we
Good
have
point.
someone with a need come in, see if we can accommodate them here in our programs, maybe elsewhere in the county programs, and see what we can do there. And I think, with the pool, who was going to actually do the lessons? Do you remember who?
It wasn't, there was like no discussion
Oh,
really because they weren't sure if they wanted to bring an outside group in to
So-
do the lessons or train current staff to do the lessons.
Okay, so we could bring somebody out, but we had a donor. So I'm not
Correct.
sure the township would pay for a group to
Correct.
come in
Mhm.
just specifically for that. But we had a donor to say, yeah, you don't have to train your employees. We have our own kind of group that comes in to do this, maybe once a week or,
And there is a training program, but obviously there's a cost to that.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
God
Yeah.
bless you.
And I have no idea how, because I'd never thought of your point, Lisa, that, you're just the turnover of staff, but I don't know how extensive a training would be, how
Yeah.
much the facts around it, how many people it would bring in, so it would, it'd be worth
Right,
it
right.
or whatever. So anyway.
Yeah.
In the school that I worked in, a special services school, they had the YMCA come in and do all the pool training. I don't know if that's been considered at all. But
I know that the planning didn't get very far.
okay.
Like it had started, and I think a lot of the specifics weren't thought about, and when they were brought up, things kind of fell out.
Yeah.
And because I was in the first meeting for that, so I hadn't heard anything since from the woman that initiated the conversation.
And then continuing with our meeting, we could go on. We were discussing everything.
know.
but We started to discuss the shade grant. So, I mean,
Yes.
we can talk about that later too, but Abby, you had proposed that we kick off like a sunscreen, sun protection campaign because we have to do that.
Yeah.
So
So
they thought that was a good idea, like
it's surrounding the pool.
surrounding the pool.
And summer camp. And there's like a graphics package and things that go from the dermatology website that they encourage use of. So I think I'm going to be working with Rob more on
Okay.
that the closer we get to summertime.
And that's so we can apply for the $8,000 grant for the shade up at Memorial Park, but we have to show that we're promoting
Sun safety.
sun safety and that's ongoing. So I think the best thing is to provide it for the summer camps and maybe we can get donations of sunscreen or, so we're going to do that
We have
this
to
year.
get a sponsor that
Anyway.
is a member of the American
Right.
Academy of Dermatology.
Okay. Okay. So that's
on
something
that-
that we're really going to focus on.
On
Kirsten,
that
go ahead.
topic, I know I had mentioned to you, Lisa, I was going to be kind of in and out across the next couple of months because I have to have some surgeries, but I can definitely work on some graphics. If there's already a graphic package and stuff, like that's cake. I can whip stuff up in like 5 minutes. I mean, I'm more than happy to do the Canva
Okay,
work.
no, that would be
to-
great. So maybe
Yeah.
Abby, you
Yeah, I'll
can
just
send
CC
that.
Yeah, I can,
Kirsten and
and I'll like CC Rob so that then you two can collaborate on that and whatever, because he does the social media for the Parks and Rec,
Yeah.
I guess it is.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Kirsten working on the graphics, and then we'll just have to find a dermatologist, and then we'll figure out how we want to distribute the sunscreen, whether it's a
A dispenser.
dispenser or individual things, whatever's easiest. Yes, yeah, okay. Okay. And then, with shade, because we're discussing the shade grant, doing the roll and stroll up at the Secret Garden again, right? Maybe we could get some future donors to sponsor the shade, because $8,000 is going to buy you an umbrella, literally, like to hold over your head. So, but bringing that event back up to Memorial Park might, we might be able to get some additional donors for that. Okay, and that's all we discussed with Parks and Rec. Like I said, they were like, "Oh no." So, and then the other grant, just if Larissa, we were talking about the micro grant for the gardens and growing spaces. So we kind of put that on hold a little bit to delve into everything we had to do to get to apply for this grant. And what was one of the stumbling blocks that we kind of think we had a problem?
They have a very specific rubric as to what they are expecting. One of the things is that they want to see how many people would be interested, what kind of disabilities they have, and how we are making it accessible for those disabilities. So in order to proceed, I think we would need to do some kind of survey to find out if there is an interest, what the disabilities are, and how we can accommodate them. So if there's not enough interest, then it's.
And then Abby, you noticed in the ADA transition plan,
That they did mention raised gardens.
Right.
For the community garden.
okay, so we already have a plan, in the ADA transition plan, even a while ago, we thought that was important to have maybe something accessible. So that's already in there before the grant even came about. We kind of know our disabilities in the township, most of them are walking. We do have some sight, some autistic, mentally, mental challenges. So I think we have enough for us to go on. It might not be enough for this rubric, they want an official.
Yes, they want to see numbers.
We have seniors, we know people are walking with walkers and so on. So I feel like we could do the raised beds in that area without the grant, right? And see if people are using it. Now, if we see people are signing up to use that raised bed, we have an interest. So we're almost we're putting it out there. Like,
Okay.
If you build it, they will come.
Okay.
If nobody comes, yeah, this grant isn't, but if we can even show that, look, we have seniors, we have, people that have difficulty walking, using it, wanting to use it, but we need a path going from the parking spot to here. We already have the raised bed, so we're showing somebody's interest. So maybe we have to start it to see if there is interest. I don't think anyone's going to come, if we just put it out there and say, let us know if you're interested. I don't think we're going to get anyone to let us know they're interested. But if we build it, would somebody use it?
Well, how would they know that it's there?
Well, we would advertise that once it's built,
Okay.
because that'll be part of the ADA transition plan that's completed, right? So the Parks and Rec is going to be on board. And again, this shouldn't cost the township really any money. So it's not like it has to go to the Board of Supervisors. We need $10,000. This could be the Boy Scout, Girl Scout project.
Okay.
So Monica's has a list of Boy Scout, Girl Scout projects, and she could say, we just want 2 beds. You know, we have allotted a space in the community garden. We just need the scouts to come and build it. And then we could put it out there on the website, social media.
And
if we
the
have these
fencing?
available, it would be inside the fencing.
Oh, is there room inside the fencing?
Well, the plots are available, so we're just going to say we want 1 plot.
Oh, okay.
I don't
okay.
know that it costs money, but if it's $20, the Disability Advisory Board,
Oh, okay, I didn't
I
know.
think John will approve $20 for us to have a spot.
I'll give you 20.
I'll give it, yeah, I'll give it 20.
Okay.
So I think we just need the space and
Okay.
if she can get someone.
In the ADA transition plan, it shows add accessible garden plots and accessibility from the parking to the plots.
So
So-
if we do one of them through the township and then do the other through the grant, but to get the grant, we kind of have to show that it's needed. So
The more I'm hearing about this stuff, the more it seems like energy spent towards having the roll and stroll or whatever you're going to call it, where you are just naturally attracting people who, to educate them, who might, if you decided you wanted to kind of have a survey, there's a table there you could take, you know, have it really actually not linked with anything else, really be its own as big as it can be, self that can be written about or promoted or
Right.
whatever, ends up killing a lot of birds with one stone
Yeah.
in terms of,
So we could advertise the roll and stroll. We could have a sign up there, advertise the community gardens.
the Boy Scouts working while it's
Boy
going
Scouts could
on,
be-
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
going on.
Right.
you know.
Right. Yeah.
It's also actually like one of the higher priorities too. It's labeled as a 2.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think we can get, I will let Monica know that, that the Disability Advisory Board would like to add the project to her Girl Scout, Boy Scout list. And I think
Mhm.
that's something,
Mhm.
when do they do Eagle Scout projects? All year long, or is it?
All year long,
Okay,
yeah.
Not like the end of the school
Right.
year?
No, because they have, I mean, there's a
For
lot
Girl
of,
Scouts, they level up at the end of the school year. So I don't know
Okay.
if that means then, and then they have the summer break and then they start their new level in the
Okay.
fall. So I don't know if like Boy Scouts is similar, where
Yeah.
they would start working then for that whole
Each
next
year.
year,
Yeah.
starting like, I don't know if it's an academic
But
calendar.
that, it would work because by this, what year are we in?
25.
I know. Yeah. Like, I'm
Not
trying to think,
long.
I'm saying like next fall, we're kind of in fall,
26.
you know, right now, but by next spring, we would want these built. So if a scout is coming to her like January 1, maybe they're looking for a project in the spring.
of
This could be a
2026,
spring
yeah.
project
Yeah.
before the growing season.
As a school, we used to have boys in our school that were becoming Eagle Scouts. Now that was the school year, but they were always coming to us and we couldn't necessarily accommodate. But
Yeah.
it seemed like it happened all year long if
Yeah.
they were trying to.
Okay. So I just think that would be something easy a Boy Scout, Girl Scout could do. They could probably build it at home, you know, in the garage, and then they're just placing it in one of the plots.
Yeah.
So I'll find out how we get the
To
plots.
Dave Burkhart. He's in charge of the seniors, but he's also in charge of the Boy Scouts.
Oh, perfect.
So he
Yeah.
said that he'd be willing to help out.
Okay.
So, and he's willing to share a survey with his seniors if we wanted to do a survey with them.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
up to you.
All right. I think we'll start with just finding out information from Monica, how to get a plot, get our name on the list, reach out to this Dave to see if he has some connections with any of the scouts, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's a great idea. And then we'll get additional funding once we meet the rubric showing there's a need.
Okay.
Is that the same scout group that presented to us for the disability badge?
Well, Dave Mann, his son is in Lower Makefield Township, but I don't know.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
there's a couple troops
Okay.
in Lower Makefield, so.
yeah, I don't know which one. Yeah.
Got it.
All right. Next, we went over the Parks and Rec projects, building plan. I did meet with Jim Majewski today, and there's really no new development plans other than, Prickett's opening, Chipotle and, some of the stores there. So I'm going to ride by, as the new ones have opened. But the way that their parking is, there's parking directly in front of their front doors. What we were discussing about Paris Baguette and all, they're almost the only ones that have parking across where you have to cross to get. So it's really only that one section of parking lot has the issue.
Yeah.
But we'll ride by. The only other thing we wanted to follow up on is Floral Vale. I mean, I don't know if they're just working on doing the handicap piecemeal, because it's not like they have a contractor coming in and being done in like a month or two. I
I went to the gym, so my gym's in Floravale, and they had the handicap spots in front of my gym like completely.
Yeah.
You can't even access them.
Wait,
I almost
we
feel-
just went over that in the fall.
Yeah.
The vendors doing it again?
I
That's
think
upsetting.
they must be,
They're doing something like
they must have their
they're working
contractors just
something.
saying like, whenever you have time, come on over and do one at a time. So it's like a year project. So they're just moving their equipment to different areas and blocking, but I think they are putting
They're
the
doing
handicap access in, and then they have to restripe. So I'm going to assume the restriping. So that's what I talked to Jim about before they restripe.
Well, I go to the gym tomorrow, so I'll see if there's
Okay.
any changes since last
I
Thursday.
think it's just the slow. Yeah, it's just a slow.
It's just disturbing
They have
though that
all
they
that
feel
stuff.
that it's totally acceptable to put all of the construction materials in the handicap spots. Like,
But if they're working on
Making,
putting the ramps, that's what they're doing, like the
okay,
ADA accessible
yeah.
egress, the ones with the bumps maybe. So
Mhm.
they can block those off if they're working on them.
Well, of course, I was just,
Yeah.
again, going at
But
it from
not just
personal
a
experience,
store,
but like,
yeah.
I was showing up to go to LabCorp and they had all the parking, the
Yeah.
LabCorp area
Oh, they must
handicap
have
parking
moved around
blocked.
the corner that.
Yeah, they're moving. They're
Yeah.
moving. Yeah. So I'll take a ride through Floravale, but I think it is just a
It's a mess.
roaming contractor. Yeah, updating. I think it's going to be most important for us to get involved when they do the striping, make sure it's, but I'll take a look. It just seems something's going on.
One other thing on building plan review, the board has selected Michael Baker International. We did an RFP for a planning exercise that includes the areas around Prickett, including the Shady Brook Farm across the street, as well as the Edgewood Village area and the McCaffrey's and Giant Shopping Center. And the goal is to think about a vision for development or redevelopment in that area with a focus potentially on mixed use to include folks to live there, but also walkability
Mhm.
in those areas.
Anybody's car?
Good shot.
So I would urge folks to
Are they going to be doing
design charrettes. I hope it's not
or
me.
like a meeting?
Yeah, they'll have open meetings.
So they'll have open meetings.
What color car is it?
Okay,
Oh, okay. So it's okay. I always worry it's,
we just have a,
It's on the- I think they must have parked and can't figure out how to turn.
okay. All right, sorry for the car alarm.
so, but what I would say is as that project goes forward, as that planning goes forward, one of the challenges that we have generally is about housing affordability, right? But we also have a challenge in that certain people can't get housing. And what I mean by that is if you're, once you start to become an adult and you have some disabilities, the nature of the system makes it hard for you to acquire any assets or live on your own. And there are groups of folks that are working to get development specifically for that. So when there's a discussion about different types of residential facilities, right? I mean, we've had a large number of 55 plus communities. Um, uh, they bring both good and bad with them. But there's other types of underserved communities for housing. And so that might be something for you that when that discussion comes to be advocates
There's
for.
nothing in Pennsylvania, though, that says any township must provide a certain number of affordable housing,
No,
right?
not at all.
I
New
think there's
Jersey
nothing in
has
New Jersey.
New Jersey has something called the Mount Laurel decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by affordable housing, the way I would position this is, in general, any increase in the aggregate supply of housing helps reduce the overall cost. And so while I'm not always excited to approve, and again, state law limits the control that we have, property owners do have rights and they have zoning and what have you. While I'm not always happy that, $2 million McMansions get thrown up very quickly sometimes, but it does increase the supply of housing, right? And so we need more housing units, but we also need to make sure that certain folks who don't have access to housing could get access to housing in ways, especially adults, those sorts of things. So there are groups of people in Bucks County advocating for that. So I don't know, again,
There's nothing in Lower Makefield Township ordinances that would assist in that, right? There's
not
nothing.
right, nothing it now, but
Yeah.
if there's changes into how this area is zoned, and remember the planning commission reviewed and said that the OR zoning district needed help, and it needed help because the suburban office park, for lack of a better term, that segment has died, whether it's work from home or reurbanization. We're very fortunate that the Lower Makefield corporate centers that we have are full. They're full for a couple of reasons. One, there have been updates to those properties, and two, we attract businesses who prefer not to have an earned income tax, and so that gives us an advantage with those communities. But that's just a fortunate fluke. In general, no one's saying, hey, I'd like to build a huge office park anywhere. So they're saying, I want a data center or a or a warehouse facility.
The problem I have is you're going to zone, you go before the board and have these mixed use, and they're going to put up an apartment building or, mix of retail and apartments above. Number one, just like the Prickett apartments, I mean, they're starting, it's $3,000.
Mhm.
That's not affordable to many, many people. So to me, putting them within a mile of Prickett Preserve where there's, and then you're putting retail and apartments, I don't see how these builders or developers are going to want to build $1,500 apartments when they can get $3,000,
Right. So what I would say with that is I don't think the township's in a position to provide subsidized housing. That's not really our role. But what I would say is, in general, any increase in the aggregate housing supply is helpful. The affordability, I think there's multiple things that we can do about affordability in general. I'm just thinking more about accessibility here,
yeah.
right? Meaning that there's certain people that are locked out, if it were.
Accessibility, again, they're going to want to do retail with apartments above. There's no law that says you have to have an elevator.
Right. I don't know but there's there are communities though that have accessibility is a lot of different things, right? Though, because the one that I'm familiar with, Simpercacy, front porch co-housing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's I don't know if that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, that hasn't gotten off the ground yet, right? Or has it got approval and hasn't been built?
Gotten approval.
What is that? Can you explain what that
So
housing would be?
co-housing is that it's for the neurodivergent population where if they need a little help or executive functioning help, they live with somebody else that is neurotypical.
It's not a group home.
Correct.
Okay. It's just an individual apartment that maybe two people share, you're saying that.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So it's.
But that funding comes from where? Is that who's building that and they're running this and getting money.
So there's a nonprofit in
Mhm.
that
Okay.
case. What you find though is that there are a number of families that are rather affluent who want to make sure that their child can live independently, and they're willing to invest in that.
Yeah. So you have
Um,
donors almost for that, maybe that type of a project.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah. What I'm just saying is when we look at anything that rethinks how some area is going to be zoned, we need to be thinking about accessibility. Even if, in general, to your point, we're not making $1,500 apartments. But if we can make stuff that people who couldn't previously get access to housing could, then it's a win.
All right, well, we will know when that starts
Mhm.
in the process, so. And it's really, you're talking about the historical village area, basically.
Well, no, it includes the Prickett Preserve, the Shady Brook Farm,
Okay, so
and the
across the street.
Mhm. Which is a planning challenge because we do have pedestrian crossing over 295. We do have some pedestrian challenges as it relates to where Prickett and Shady Brook, we've had timing of light issues, all kinds of stuff. So, but we want to include something we want to make something that is as much as walkable as possible or engaging as possible. And, like I said, the Edgewood Village has been a historic overlay for a while. It's taken a while to get traction. I think, hopefully we'll get further on.
And when some of this, you want it walkable, we put the bike paths in because then it's easier. But I have to keep going back to maintenance of these things. Our township is not maintaining. So if I am in a wheelchair or a rollator and you're saying you want it walkable, maybe to walk to Prickett Preserve or roll to Prickett Preserve, there's gaps in the bike paths that are, almost 8 inches. So,
If you have those,
yeah,
take a picture of those and send them to, one
yeah,
of the things that we're doing in Public Works is all of the trucks now, the Public Works employees, they take their iPhones and they place them in the windshield of the truck. And as they drive, we use an AI tool from Germany called Violytics. And what that does is it's looking at the road quality to make sure, is there potholes, is there cracks, how bad off is the road? It grades the road on a scale from 0 to 100. And then it also looks for signs, inlets that are not the right height. So the same thing can be used on paths as well. It just hasn't been yet. We were early on Violytics like last year, starting with it. And it's been very helpful in finding stuff like that. But the path side, and I walk the paths all the time. I don't there are things like where you have tree limbs and stuff like that. But yes, if you see those areas where there's a significant break, I can give out his email because it's on the website, derek.f@lmt.org.
website, yeah.
But there's a staff person that also handles it as well.
But again, this is just, we want a walkable area.
Mhm.
Can we make sure that maybe the builder has to put in a lot now, right? I think we
Right.
are doing that,
Mhm.
making sure the builder has to put sidewalks or bike paths of some sort. But it's, again, the maintenance. Would it be the builder or whatever that area would be responsible for, or is the township responsible for?
Depends on the agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I think that's the way to go. We want to have walkability
Yep.
and paths, but it is just maintaining them and keeping them, safe for everyone.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't think we have any old business. Anyone have any new business? Anything you want to bring up? Anyone? Kirsten? Good. I think just discussing Kirsten, so she's going to be having some surgery. So along with our meeting schedule next on the agenda here, I think what we'll do is meet every other month like we've been doing, but starting February. So we won't have January. So we'll continue the cycle of February, April, June, August, October, and December. So then we have our entire schedule set for 2026. And then Kirsten will definitely miss the February, potential April, but
Probably April, but I will,
yeah,
with luck, be back by
Okay.
June.
okay. But you'll be accessible via,
I will be
Email.
accessible in varying levels across that
Yeah.
time because there's 2 surgeries. So like it,
Yep.
while I'm
Yeah.
in rehab, I won't be, but I just,
right,
yeah.
right.
I will be
Okay.
unpredictably accessible, but that won't occur until January 15th. So if
Okay.
we can nail down those needs for graphics before then,
Mhm.
I can 100% rock those out.
Okay, great. And we are okay as a board because we have, a quorum. So, you're fine. You'll just keep up to date on everything and you'll be back brand new with new parts. Right?
And ready to take over secretarial role if someone hasn't taken it
Right,
first.
that's right. Um, and then the only other thing I forgot to bring up was there is a grant, I'll go back with Parks and Rec projects. The $1 million grant for Garden of Reflection, is that approved, right? Is that what the garden, the Memorial Park?
We have a design, yeah.
So we have $1 million grant. That's not a matching, right? So
Yeah.
so we just get that. We just get that. No, I'm kidding.
Sort of,
With,
yeah, we did.
yeah.
We
Um,
invested in engineering. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Off mic, I'm sorry.
Okay. But I think that grant is going to probably be more for fixing of the fountains, right? So some of the actual memorial, right? Or no?
No, there's a bathroom component of.
Okay. So that will be,
That was, did you see the meeting on that? That was a couple of meetings ago. So that's going to start construction, I think in the spring, because we have to do it before June or something like that.
okay.
But
So you're thinking that will maybe be some of the bathrooms. So we will get those designs. So we will look at those and that might be because it's next to Inclusive Park, that would definitely need, or we would like a changing table for that.
Did you watch the meeting on that one?
What date was it? I'll go back and watch.
Okay, yeah, I don't know offhand, but
Okay.
yeah.
Wednesdays are so hard.
Yeah.
They're all online, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and lighting, like, I think it's more like some infrastructure type stuff or.
So, I mean, I'd have to, let me
Okay.
see if I can.
Okay,
get
so
you-
we'll look. So you're thinking that as far as we're concerned, whatever else you're doing, I think if the bathrooms are included in that, we'll make sure that we review those plans, which Jim Majewski forwards to our board anyway. So we will see those. So that might be a great opportunity to get those updated. Okay. And what is that grant? You remember, like, who sponsored that? Like, what is
I think that one's DECD. That's a
that?
Department of Community Economic Development grant from the
Okay.
state.
Yeah.
Uh,
So there's definitely some ADA, things that are going to be in that just by virtue of any new design is going to have to be compliant. So we'll follow up on that if it's going to be soon. So we'll make sure we're reviewing that. Okay. That would be great. Okay. So anyone have anything else before we adjourn for the year? And won't see you till February of 2026. I'll have another grandchild by then,
Ooh, congrats. Almost.
and then another one. So
Mhm.
our meetings go well with my daughter's uh, pregnancy plans here. Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Happy
Aye.
holidays, everyone.
Happy
Bye.
holidays.
Bye-bye. See you, Christian.
Bye, folks.